The film you're about to see has no characters. If you spare a little of your imagination, it is a film to describe to you the effect of cymatic frequencies on matter. Everything owes its existence solely and completely to sound.
Hello.
Hello, everybody.
So that video is actually longer than that, but I just figured I would only play that much of it. But if you go on YouTube and you just type in the word cymatics, that video is like the first to pop up and you can watch the whole thing. I love that video.
Me too.
A friend of mine had one of those cymatic tables with the sand.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was a musician. And so he had one of those. And so we were playing around with it one day. So they're super cool. And today's topic is basically on vibration and frequency. Oh yeah, I was going to show this too. My boyfriend, Nikola Tesla, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. So I was also going to, well, let's show this, this tweet from the other day. I came across this guy's thread down here, which is he has a whole thread of people singing in these old cathedrals, and about the acoustics of these old cathedrals, which we're going to get into. And it got me thinking. I mean, this is something that I think about all the time. I don't know if I'm alone in that. I know, Patricia, you think about this too, like the vibration of things.
Oh, yeah.
But it's something that I think is important for you know, for us to discuss, because once people understand, I mean, this is a part of the Great Awakening. This is how we kind of take our sovereignty back, by understanding these things, because not only can harnessing these energies and protecting ourselves, you know, protect us, enhance our lives, but also these things are being used against us as well. So I said we are frequency beings. I believe the old world humans knew this, and that's why cathedrals were built the way that they were, and also why the bells have since been removed. Tesla said, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. He was saying that these were the actual building blocks of the universe, and even matter is an illusion. We kind of know that, you know, scientists admit that. You zoom in very close to matter, and these things actually aren't touching. You know, the reason this table is solid, this table is made of the same, you know, light and energy that I'm made of. But the difference between us, well, one of the major differences in our physical makeup is the rate at which we're vibrating. Everything is just energy. It's the frequency of vibration that makes things appear different. You want to change something into something else, change its frequency. That's called alchemy. The human body and mind are frequency machines that can naturally alchemize. We are incredible technology, but we've lost the manual. And our mechanisms are all gummed up with negative frequencies. Our food is dead and depleted. Our air and water are bogged down with pollutants. We're bombarded with radio frequency, microwave radiation, etc. Even the subject matter we're given to focus on has its own frequency, which produces a chemical reaction in our brains. Hanging out with negative people, it can have the same impact as taking a harmful drug. As soon as we remember that we're energetic beings and we look at the things we consume and surround ourselves with in terms of frequencies that impact our own vibration, the better we can protect ourselves and move in the direction of unlocking our actual potential. I call it resonance hygiene. At the more basic levels, cleaning our frequency can lead to better health, faster healing, more energy, even better intuition. But I think there are levels beyond these things that could unlock what most people think of as supernatural. For example, telepathy, telekinesis, extrasensory perception, astral projection, etc. Are these things really supernatural, or are they just natural, but rare because our mechanisms are jammed?
Right.
So
Maybe,
what?
you want to play the song too?
Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. But to kind of start off, in terms of vibration, right? Everything is sound and light, and they're vibrating at a different frequency, and that's what creates the physical world around us. But there's so much scientific evidence now into these things, into vibration. You know, it's not a woo-woo. It's not what's the word I'm looking for? It's not, you know, supernatural. It's not whatever. It's actually scientific. And so there was a doctor named Dr. Was it Matsura Emoto?
Masaru Emoto. Yeah.
Okay. So he did a study on water, and obviously words, sounds have their own, or sounds and light have their own vibration, but even intention. And we put intention into symbols. So that's why, I mean, I'm very interested in symbology, which is the study of symbolism. I think once you start to learn symbolism and then you start to see it everywhere and you start to understand it better, it's so fascinating. But symbolism can be a tool. Like something that is, I mean, we've talked before, I think, about the swastika. The swastika was a symbol for good luck in Indian culture. You know, obviously that got commandeered. Now when people see a swastika, they have one thing that comes to mind.
Well, that one was actually in mirror. Yeah, flipped.
Right, which is another thing that they do a lot, is that they inverse the meaning of things and whatever. But symbolism like that, these very powerful symbols throughout history, a lot of it sacred geometry is in everything. Let's see, I've got my sacred geometry here. So, you know, some of these are we recognize these things a lot. A sacred geometry proposes that everything in existence, from galaxies to shells to flowers, follows harmonic ratios and geometric patterns that express an underlying cosmic order. These forms are thought to be the language of creation, shaping how energy manifests into matter. So you will see these everywhere. Interestingly, pieces of them are used for different things. Like if you zoom into the flower of life, that very center, I learned this the hard way because I don't know if I still do. I think on my YouTube it was, maybe it's on my Rumble. I don't even remember. My header was a portion of the flower of life. Well, the center of that is the all-seeing eye. So people are like, oh my God, she's Illuminati or whatever. Well, there's a reason that the Illuminati uses that symbol, right? If you look at
like
the
swastika, right? They invert everything.
Exactly. Just like on the left-hand corner, you see that symbol called the Merkaba. So the Merkaba is basically, that's a 3D symbol. It's two pyramids intertwined. And I mean, what does that look like? It looks like the Star of David. Well, there's a reason why it's the Star of David. A two-dimensional representation of it is the Star of David. Well, perhaps they know things about this Merkaba, about this sacred geometry that most of the world doesn't know. And perhaps that's the point. This Merkaba is supposedly our energy field. It's the energy field of a human being, and it's what surrounds us. And I know we've seen lots of, footage of orbs. Well, a friend of mine has captured a video himself of an orb flying. And for whatever reason, the rate of it was either going slowly or fast, at the same rate of whatever his camera was taking. So you can see that it's actually a Merkaba spinning. And when you spin that Merkaba really quickly, it looks like a perfect orb, So the Merkaba is supposedly our energy field. I've heard things saying that these were actually our vehicles, that we could use them to not only teleport, but to fly and to do all kinds of things when we're in tune with these and when our Merkaba is spinning at the right rate or whatever.
Frequency, probably. Yeah.
You're right. So, but again, going back to the divine geometry or sacred geometry, you will find these symbols in, ancient cave drawings. They're all across cathedrals around the world, ancient structures, ancient artworks. And one of the places that you'll find them are in these rose windows in cathedrals. Old cathedrals have these rose windows. They're really beautiful. And, they all seem to have them. Like, so what is that?
Right.
There was a video that I saw, and I can't find it for the life of me. Don't you hate it when you find something and then you think about it and you can never find it again?
Classic.
It was a woman, and she was going into these cathedrals with one of those sound plates, and she was recording the harmonic frequency inside these old cathedrals, playing them on this harmonic sound thing with the sand that we just saw in the beginning of the video. And the shapes that they made were the same shapes that were in the window of the cathedral. So the thought is that these cathedrals were not initially built for worship. They were initially built as a place where you would go to get healing. And maybe these windows, these symbols in the front, were to show people what resonance they were about to walk into. If you go to a sound healing bath, they have the different bowls that play different notes, different frequencies. That's interesting to me. I mean, it's interesting to me that we cannot recreate this. They're not just beautiful. They are perfect. They are harmonically perfect. They are, they're riddled with sacred geometry. We just can't build these things anymore.
Actually, it reminded me also of the bees, right? So the bees who hum, and they actually create these hexagon, what is it, an octagon? Is it a hexagon?
I don't think it's an octagon. I think it is a hexagon. The
Right. So these patterns, right? But now they use the bees also for therapy. So you go on top of them and underneath, they put them underneath, and then they start zooming, and it gives a whole frequency that aligns your body and it heals your body. And I'm thinking now that if the bees, maybe the whole zooming thing creates the structure of their honeycombs.
cute. I'm smiling because I saw a video of an up close recording of a bee humming or buzzing or whatever, and it was just, I think bees are so cute. I
Yeah.
love bees. But also another video that I saw recently, which I didn't think to pull, was somebody putting honey into water, and again, upping the frequency, or like maybe vibrating it, or I don't know, remember, but it starts to form that honeycomb. It has a memory. It has a memory of that shape.
Right.
So that's really interesting. Well, okay, so then going back to Dr. Emoto,
Right.
Dr. Emoto studied water, and what he would do was he would take water and put them into separate chalices, and he would study the molecules of the water, and then he would put certain words, symbols on the sides of the water, for example, the word hate or the word love, or he would play certain music for it, like harp music, and then he would play heavy metal music for some of it. And so he was examining what these intentions, words, symbols, vibrations did to the water. And so this is some of them. You can see thank you, wisdom, truth, eternal. Look how beautiful. I mean, they look like snowflakes.
Right.
And they look like these cymatic structures in the rose windows. And then you see on the bottom, evil.
Yeah.
You make me sick, you fool. And then when we, so here are some more. Compassion, thank you, wisdom. Okay, so heavy metal music, I will kill you.
Wow.
This,
I never resonated with heavy metal music. I don't understand how people can listen to it. To me, it just makes me aggressive for some reason. But yeah, I can totally see that it's not a good frequency.
yeah, I gained an appreciation for it because my ex-husband, that's what he did for a living. He was a heavy metal musician.
Right.
And so I gained an appreciation. His was less of that like really screaming intense. It was more kind of like a Southern rock based whatever. But I gained an appreciation for it, but I never really liked it. There are a few songs that I almost are like I'm nostalgic about, so I'll put them on and listen to them, but it's never been my kind of music. I mean, it's frantic. Same thing with
Right.
jazz. Can't stand
Oh,
jazz.
God. I have the same thing. I can't stand jazz. It's like a total chaos, it feels to me. I don't understand how people feel relaxed with the real jazz. My grandfather used to play jazz and he listened to it all the time, and I absolutely hated it.
Yeah.
And it feels like chaotic,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah, well, and then you have the whole, music used to be recorded in, what was it, 432 hertz?
Yeah.
And then they started to kind of make it the universal thing to record music at 440 hertz, which is, it grates on our vibration as human beings. 432 flows with us. It's in harmony with us.
Definitely.
And 440 is actually, it grates on us. So now even music is being played to us in a way that is disruptive to our own harmony and vibration.
Right. Also with the water, I filter my water and I have it in glass pots, and I write on them, I love you and all that stuff. And then I have the flower of life on it. And because I do believe that it makes an influence on the water.
Mhm.
But also the same counts for foods, right? Because it's liquids, it doesn't really matter what it is. But this is why they prayed before food, before eating. It's because to send out like a positive signal. And I saw a documentary where they put electrodes in a yogurt, and this man was about to eat, and he was eating, and the electrodes were giving off really negative frequency. And so they asked the man what he was thinking of, and he was thinking of a court case he was busy with. He was really angry about it, and it reflected on the food instantly. And it was amazing when I saw that. That really woke me up, because I thought I should never be cooking angry when I'm angry, or preparing food when you're angry, for even for your animals or for whatever, right? Because you eat that same toxin. So yeah, added
Yeah.
to all the poisons that they already put in our foods, I guess that you can neutralize a lot just with your thoughts and your state of mind, your own energy.
Absolutely. Well, some things that become kind of corny cliches, you have to think about, where did they come from? And the notion of a grandmother or a mother cooking and putting her love into the food is, I think is a very real thing. And when I cook for my son, I always think about that. I always pray over my son's food. And when I'm cooking, I put that intentionality into the food. I put my love into it. I have a weird story about maybe I'll save that. But T Webs in Pilled said, I'm glad that they brought this up because I wanted to talk about this. In the beginning was the word, so biblically, that was the start of creation, was that God spoke and this sound came out and it formed the galaxies and the universes and our world and everything, all of the creatures and all of the plants and everything. So this is really interesting to me because I think in terms of, okay, this just harmonic sound that comes out of God, this beautiful sound, this vibration of light and sound, and then it forms everything. And if you think about how the further it moves away from God, the more dense it gets. And this is how like matter starts to get formed. First you've got the light and the sound, and then you've got vapors and gases, and then you have, waters and, whatever. And it goes all the way into what our 3D world is, which is probably the furthest vibration from God, the densest atmosphere that we could. Right. And when I think of like all of the mythology that is across the planet, not just in the Bible, but in all cultures, Greek mythology, Norse mythology, cave paintings, all of these things have these creatures that, no longer exist, or we don't see them, right? Centaurs and mermaids and unicorns, cherubs and angels and demons and all of these things. Like, was that really mythology, or were these things real and people could perceive them at the time, but we cannot perceive them because we are vibrating at a frequency that is a lot more dense? They might be existing on top of us, and I think that they are.
Right. Yeah. Well, that reminds me of when I was like practicing telekinesis for quite a while. It's been years ago I did that. And I would do it every day, all day long. I was practicing with the typical, the cork, and put the needle in it and then the little paper on it. And I kept doing it, and I got so frustrated at one point. And then I started to read more about it, watching videos about it. And then they said, you need to become one with the object. And I'm like, what does it even mean? And at
use the force. It's literally use the force. You are the force.
Yeah. And so at a certain point, I let go. I just surrendered to it, and boom, it went. And I was like, and as soon as I was like startled, it stopped again. But at a certain point, I managed to make it turn around one way, turn around the other way. And then I moved house, and I kind of forgot about it and never did it again, which is a shame because I should really practice it, because I find it really fascinating how that works. It's just, it can be very frustrating if you do it days and days on end.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think that those things, those abilities, like I said in the thing, those abilities that we think of as supernatural because they're so rare, and then when we do see them, we doubt that it's real. And some of it might be fake, because people have shown these abilities, there are probably people that do fake it. But I do think that those things are not only real, but that they are God-given abilities, that this body that we are given has all this technology built in, and but we've gotten disconnected from it. It's been hidden from us. We don't know how to use it. And not only that, but it requires a vibration rate that is higher. And we are so bogged down in our daily life with these negative frequencies, everything external that we're coming into contact with, and even our own thoughts. Our thoughts are changing our frequency
Well,
as
what do you
well.
think about our language? I mean, the way they have programmed it, like, you know, the word understand, which is really being submissive, understand, you know, and there's so many. Good morning. Morning is like you're mourning somebody because they're dead. They're
Yes.
dead, right? So, and that is all woven into our language in order to make us even think more negative and even speak negative,
Yeah.
even if we're not even aware of it.
Right. I mean, spelling and, you know, the word spelling, we are casting spells when we
Yes.
write, when we say things. These are incantations. I mean, that's a whole interesting rabbit hole that we could probably do another show on sometime, because I love that topic. I actually started getting interested in that topic when I was in school for hypnotherapy in, like, what was it, 2005 or whatever? God, was that 20 years ago? My
Yeah.
God. Anyway, they were talking about, we were talking about fears and phobias, and one of the most common is a fear of flying. And then they were talking about all the words that surround flying, and I can't think of them right now. You know, words like terminal, final destination, all of these
Right.
words associated with flying are like casting a spell on you in order to make it feel ominous and scary and all of that. I have a whole theory on the airline industry, but I really think it's owned by demons. But
Absolutely.
you know, these words, you're right. And the old languages obviously were different than the new words, like English and whatever. There are many words in English where we're kind of casting spells on ourselves. Old languages, Latin, Aramaic, whatever, they're far more beautiful. They're more harmonic. They're less guttural. They're less, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's but also the human voice, right? So people are so talented. We natural voices, and I think that in itself, you know, like you still have to show the clip, but that says so much about what we are supposed to do, right? Instead of and being more conscious about it.
Mhm.
Yeah, about what we put out.
Yeah, so we saw the symbols with the Dr. Emoto studies and what that does to water. Well, how we are a huge percentage of us is made out of water. We are water. So if
Right.
it's doing that to water sitting in chalices, what are these things doing to our human body that is mostly water? And our water is dead, right? Our water is dead and depleted. I have a reverse osmosis system because it's all full of gunk. So you have to get the
Right.
gunk out of it. But then you're left with just dead water that's depleted. It doesn't have any minerals in it. It's not
Yeah.
vibrating. It's not full of life. When I was pregnant, there was a place by me that I used to go and get these huge jugs of water. And the jugs of water were glass, and they had the flower of life etched on the sides.
Wow.
And you could go and so they were ran through this filtration system that was coated in diamond. And then they had different crystals in them. They put different minerals. They basically re-alivened the water.
Yeah.
And you would go, and I drank that throughout my whole pregnancy. I had a great pregnancy, by the way. And my kid was like super healthy. And I think that this had a lot to do with it.
Right.
But you could
Yeah,
re-energize.
moving water, you know how they have this spiral, which makes it alive again. Even if it comes out of our tap, it's like dead, not to mention completely poisoned too. So yeah, I don't drink it either. And
Yeah.
I noticed that even cats, I do cat sit a lot. And what I noticed is they prefer drinking rainwater over tap water. They just don't touch it. And I've seen this so often now, unless it's cats that really are used to nothing else but that their whole lives because they were indoor. But I have a balcony, so I let them out on the balcony, and I have a pot there that catches the rainwater. And every single time they just wait till they can go outside and then they start drinking.
That's so interesting. You know, well, right now we're getting a ton of rain in Arizona. We've been getting rain for like months, but I don't collect rainwater because it's a rare occurrence here. But Archie will not drink. I mean, he will rarely drink out of his own water bottle. He likes to drink out of my pool. And I'm like, that's weird. But my pool is not chlorinated. My pool has a system that runs it through a UV light, and that's what cleans the water of my pool. So my pool water is just being run through UV light, and he only wants to drink pool water. Like
because they know what is good for them. Cats do too, dogs do, they all do. And it's us humans that think, we tell them what to do. But really it's in their nature already.
Yeah. It's like when they put GMO corn out and the deer will eat only they'll put it side by side, organic corn and GMO corn, and the animals will only eat the organic corn. They won't go near the GMO. They know better. Like ants won't eat,
Right.
Certain food. This is something that I have. It's a water bottle, and it's super cool. So these, it comes with crystals, and
wow.
I have different crystals. So I have an amethyst. I have a rose quartz. This is obviously clear quartz, and you can.
Does it come with the crystal in it?
Yeah, but you can also buy just the crystals. So I bought one of these.
Wow.
When I first found these, it was right after I had my awakening. And I was like really into everything. And I found these for $12. I found a place in Arizona that sold them for $12. And so I bought literally every woman I know. I bought one of these. Like every Christmas, every birthday, every woman I know got one of these. And so I had some of them too. Now they're like $50
wow.
What I've seen.
Oh my gosh, those are amazing. I should look for those. I never knew about those.
Right.
I put crystals in my water as well.
Be careful with your teeth.
Well, no, I put it obviously on the bottom, but and sometimes also in the cat bowls, right? So that they can drink with the crystal water. But yeah, I think that is amazing.
Yeah. Speaking of crystals,
It's a great product, by the way.
It is. It really is.
You should sell it.
Yeah. So the thing about crystals is, first of all, they all vibrate at a different frequency. And, according to our chakras, right? Our chakras have our rainbow that goes up our body, from red at our root chakra, orange at our sacral, yellow solar plexus, green heart, blue throat, turquoise pineal gland, indigo.
Purple.
Indigo is the third eye, and then
Purple.
amethyst is above. Actually, we have chakras that are in and outside of our body, but that's a whole other thing. But different crystals vibrate at different frequencies, and in order of how they go in the chakra system. So red, garnet, red jasper. When you use these crystals, or when these crystals are around your body, these vibrations will affect your own physical vibration. If you think of two tuning forks coming close to each other, the vibration of those tuning forks is going to either enhance each other, work against each other. And so you've got, I heard it interestingly that crystals were actually these energies frozen in stasis. And so these crystals will vibrate at different frequencies. Obviously, the violet and the clear are the highest. Rose quartz, clear quartz, and selenite are two of the most high vibrational crystals that exist. But again, this is scientific. This is not woo-woo. This is not magic. This is scientifically backed that these special rocks vibrate at different frequencies. That's why there's such a fascination with human beings, other than the fact that they're beautiful, right? But crystals have been used throughout history for all kinds of things. And
I sleep with a lot of them under my cushion, and I have like a whole bunch of them, but also that they combine together. So there's this woman in the Netherlands who knows exactly how to combine crystals and for which purpose. So say you have a lot of anxiety, then she combines certain crystals that will help you during your sleep. And so I use those and I sleep with them. And sometimes they just start traveling in my bed, and then it really annoys me because, not fun to lie on a crystal.
Definitely. Well, I heard that you're not actually supposed to sleep near certain crystals because of their rate of vibration. It can mess with your,
Yeah.
these are our vibrations when we're, this is the human mind. Delta, which is the deep sleep, those are our lowest vibrations. Theta, meditation. So when I do hypnosis, usually you're taking people really between alpha and theta. But delta is like that deep sleep that can be for certain hypnosis, but it's not an ideal state to work with. And then beta is active thinking, and gamma is that peak cognition. So when we are, even as human beings, we vibrate at different frequencies based on what our minds are thinking, how they're thinking. And so if you're trying to sleep and you're sleeping next to something that is vibrating at a high rate, it might disrupt your sleep.
Yeah, you have that with these orgonite pyramids. So you can put them under your bed, but you might get very lucid dreams and stuff. Or some people even had astral projection. I don't even dare to go there, but I have a few, but they do have the exact same ratio as the Pyramid of Giza.
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's very interesting. And there's a lot of crystals in it. So it's very potent, but I just have them next to my bed, but not under my bed, because if you lie under it or above it, then, or me lying above it, so then it can be very, very potent and give you restless sleeps too.
Interesting. What was that green stone that is from a meteor?
Oh,
That
I
came
have
from
that one.
Russia?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the
Morganite?
no, it's the, oh my gosh, I actually, yeah, I have one. Somebody gifted me one in for a chain. It's really beautiful with copper wire and stuff around it. Gosh, what was it called?
Someone will get it. So I had a piece of it. I had to return it because it's so much weird stuff was happening to me when I had it sleep next to my bed.
Moldavite.
Moldavite. Thank you so
you.
much. Yes, Moldavite is it's from a meteorite, right? That landed in
Yes.
Russia or Bulgaria or some.
No, it's Czechoslovakia. That's the only place where you can find it. But you can wear it. I wore it, but not longer than a week, because then shit started happening, right? You get, and then I actually landed on Reddit because there was a whole thread about it, and somebody asked, like, is it true about Moldavite that it can really mess up your life, or things can happen in your life and whatnot? And so there were tons and tons of stories of people having this Moldavite. And so I had it on and I thought, okay, let's see how it goes. And at a certain point I was like, I'm really going through this dark night of the soul again. I'm taking that thing off because it's enough as is, right? And then everything calmed down again. And then I tried to wear it again. You don't have to get rid of it, but you don't have to have it closed or on your body. That's it. So I definitely did not return it. I'm just training with it. Let's call it that.
So the first night that I had it, it was just next to my bed, and I woke up to this bzzzt, bzzzt, bzzzt 3 times, and I opened my eyes and my whole room was glowing blue.
Oh my God.
I was like, what the fuck? Okay. And then this series of weird stuff just started happening to the point where I was like, okay, I got to get rid of this thing. And it could be just like any other thing. It enhances whatever is going on. And so if at that time I was in turmoil, I had a lot of weird stuff going on, and it was just amplifying that, I think. But I was like, I'm going to get rid of it.
Yeah, Cassandra in the chat says, I think Moldavite brings up karma. I don't know for sure. I think it depends, because it can bring up a lot of positive things, but also it can enhance the negative, right?
Boom said kryptonite. It's the same color as kryptonite. It really, I mean, it really is. Maybe it is really kryptonite. Maybe kryptonite is a real thing based on this freaking Moldavite stuff.
Right.
But you brought up the pyramids of Giza, and I've talked before about one of my past live regressions that I had on myself was this memory of being this 9-foot black man named Timbuktu, and I was at the pyramids of Giza. Only in my past life regression, Giza was not a desert. It was a jungle.
It was lush.
It was a lush
very,
jungle.
yes.
And so in this past life memory, which, you know, this was back before I had ever read a single theory about the changing of climates and how our world, you know, was a desert, wasn't once a desert. That was never on my radar. So this was just something that I was like, okay, I totally was like, that was interesting, but I don't believe it because it was too far away from what I already perceived about the world. But in this past life regression, I was a healer and I was harnessing vibration, sound and light from the pyramids. And I had an ankh, and an ankh is what you will see in ancient drawings from Egypt that they're holding onto ankhs. You know, it's the symbol of life. It's a symbol of female. And I was using that ankh that was attached to a staff, and I would have these people lay down on these slabs of some kind of stone. I don't know what kind of stone. And I was using the vibration to heal people. Like I would wave and you could see this blue light coming through the ground and up through my staff and up through me, and it would heal people. And I'm like, God, that's so interesting. But I think that these are things that humanity once upon a time had. I don't buy into the story that human beings were primitive and then, you know, they just worked really hard to build these incredible structures that we can't even figure out how to build today. I think we are in the dark ages now. These are the dark ages.
Well, yeah, I think we're actually getting out of it. But what you just described, I've seen this in many regressions that I did with clients, but also one of my own. It was in the Buseju Mountains, in the books of the Buseju Mountains. And also Matthias de Stefano talks about it, that that region of Egypt was absolutely tropical, lush and everything. And that's what I read about and heard about in multiple sessions that I had with people as well, and was amazing. Yeah.
So what was the map that I was having you look up the other day?
The what?
The map. Remember I was showing somebody gave it to me as a gift.
Yes. It was the flat Earth map. No,
it's not flat Earth. It's not flat Earth. So it's depicted as flat, but it's not necessarily depicting flat Earth. Hold on a second. I need to look it up because I know where to
find it. I did save it somewhere, I believe.
I sent it to somebody. So
yeah, you sent it to me.
I know, but I talk to you 97 times a day. The Monty map. Okay, so the Monty map was it mid 1600s? I think was when that.
No, it was 1540. That's interesting. It was, I think, 1548, which is very interesting because since that time, no, was it? Yeah, because since that time, you know how people always say about the Netherlands, oh, you shouldn't give up your guns. Well, our gun law stopped in 1548. And so, so we haven't had guns since. So it's not like I can do anything about it. But we don't.
It's your fault, Patricia.
Yeah. I mean, really, we don't know any better. It's not here, right? But it's interesting that that map is from that same time.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to, let's see if I can get this.
I think it was even 1539, maybe, but it was very close to that period. So it's, but some things don't add up either from that map because, I mean, my country hardly doesn't exist on that map. So that's a bit weird.
Well, there's a lot of weird stuff. Okay. So I just want to make sure I'm.
Oh, did you download? Oh, perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. So this map is so fascinating. Let's see if I can get it. This website, is this the one where you can zoom in?
If you click on it, it becomes bigger.
Okay. So obviously, people say that it's a flat Earth map, obviously, because of the way that it's depicted. Right. This actual map is, I think, 9 by 9 feet when it's put together. And it's actually like a like a not an almanac. What are those called when the maps are in by pages instead of all complete? Whatever. Is it an almanac?
No. I don't even know what the word is for it.
We play a lot of geriatric charades on this show because neither one of us can remember anything. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out how to get this best. All right, I guess that's the best we're going to do. So, people do say flat Earth, obviously, because it has the center at the North Pole. And then if you look around, what would be Antarctica? These are lush areas. And if you zoom in to the terrain, is it going to clear up? Where is it? Why is it so? I wasn't doing this the other day.
I think you have to click on the top, where it said spread there, top left.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that one first.
Well,
yeah.
no, then it's not going to, it's going to take it out of my browser and that goes to full screen.
Oh, because right, that's it. Because it has to go it has to go full screen in order to be able to zoom in, is what I learned.
Is there a way for me to share it? Oh,
yeah,
there we go. Okay, so
yes,
it still looks like shit, but
it's
a little bit better. Yeah. Well, one of the interesting things about this map is obviously it's got the North Pole as the center, and it says, a lot of folklore at the time obviously was that there was a magnetic pull at this North Pole, which obviously we know about today. And they thought it was because it was the center of the world. And there was a lot of belief at the time that this was actually the entrance to inner Earth. And you can even see in this map how the water is like rushing towards this center when you get close to it. And that was in also a lot of folklore from fishermen in the North, in the Arctic waters. There was that book that we covered a long time ago on the book club called The Smoky God, which was about supposedly this man and his father who they were Nordic fishermen who accidentally buried.
Yes, I still have that one on my computer as well.
Into the center of the earth through this opening that was supposedly there. This is supposedly like where the Garden of Eden went. This is where the dinosaurs went, supposedly. This is why you have pterodactyl pictures from like the 1800s, because like they come out. This is also why you have a bunch of, what is it that washes up on the shores up there? Is it a particular kind of wood, or is it, I don't know.
Where?
On the north shores of, like, what would it be? Greenland.
Right. You mean what was also described in that story from this man?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's not just right. But it's not just from this story. These are, this was the mythology of it. So, but you've also got, let's see, can we zoom in more?
Yeah. So that's Europe.
And you've got, there's Patty. You have these mythological beasts
right. Yeah.
All throughout the map. If you look at it, there will be mermaids. Here's this giant whatever the hell.
I shared it in the chats, by the way, on Rumble and YouTube and Pilled.
Look, there's a dragon here. What I thought was really interesting. Hold on, let me zoom out and find it. I'm really bad with maps.
Oh, right. There
it is.
Right.
The griffin in the area that would have been Tartaria. And, the griffin was, if you look up in old encyclopedias, and you will actually find the map of you'll find maps of Tartaria, but you'll also find their currency, their flag, their, all of the things associated with any nation. And their flag is a griffin. And here you have a griffin in the area. And this is Terra Incognita Nova. What is that? Undiscovered or new?
That means terra means the earth.
Earth.
Incognita right. Means, incognito, and nova is new.
Okay, so new unexplored earth or something like that. Can you read this?
Yeah, I would say a hidden earth rather, because incognito, or it's hidden, right?
Interesting.
You have to zoom in. Qui si I can read it if you yeah, okay, now go there. Qui si trova griffin bianchi e sono gli animali bianchi tante contropiedi come volatili. Yeah, so it says here that you would find the griffin. How do you call that in English?
Griffin, yeah.
Yeah, the griffin, white griffin, actually.
Oh my
Very
God, that's so cool. Okay, so that tells me that these are not, that this is what he's saying with this map is that these creatures are found where, you know, what's in the map. You got a lobster here, you have some
giant
kind of
one. Oh,
merman.
no, that's isn't that Poseidon?
I don't know.
Right, because he sits there. Because I remember this girl who was 14, Dutch. She actually sailed the whole world, and she very specifically said, "I want to go to this place because this is where Poseidon. I think it was Poseidon. Or what is the other one? The Aquaman type thing." And that's where she went. Exactly there on the map.
Interesting.
What else?
Well, I mean, so this is what we're looking at here would be Antarctica, but look at all these creatures and beasts and oh, there's a centaur. Or no, that's a yeah, that's a centaur.
Is that a flamingo on the right?
Um
On the
I don't
top.
know.
It's a weird animal.
Yeah, some kind of pink bird.
Yeah, but all these mythological. Oh, Neptune. Thank you, Cassandra. Neptune.
Neptune.
Yes. Oh my gosh. How didn't I not come up with that?
Monkeys and alligators. That looks like that. There's another griffin.
Oh, right. Yeah. Oh, and wasn't there the half horse, half man type
That's a
thing?
centaur.
Oh, that's a centaur. Yeah.
You've got some like cave person here. Anyway, I just found this map. A camel. You have a camel depicted in Antarctica. And then what's
looks like
this?
a turtle with legs, really.
Well, he wasn't the best artist. This looks like a puffin or something like that. But look at that. The hell is it's a lion fighting what? Like a griffin or a demon?
Yeah, like a gargoyle. Indeed. Yeah, he wasn't the best artist. That's a bit of a shame.
I mean, I could
The
spend
question
all day.
is it really that old? I mean, is
What
that really made in 1500 something?
what the hell are these?
It seems like there were also different species of humans.
Well,
Because
okay.
yeah, they are completely different, depicted differently.
So all
Oh,
over the world, like what, for example, all over the world, you will have these depictions of humans without heads and their faces are on their torsos. You've seen that,
right.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Look, there's another dragon. Or maybe
yeah.
that, I don't know.
I love dragons. There's even a bunny. It
Yeah,
seems a
bunny,
bit out of place there.
elephants.
Elephant, yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah,
could look at this all freaking day. Look at these. Like
yeah,
all these
it's amazing.
different
Those are the
things.
mermaids.
Right.
I definitely believe that I definitely believe that these things have existed, or these what they call, otherwise why else would they call mythological, right? How did anybody come up with that?
Yeah, I know. I mean, I think that these were real creatures that maybe they went extinct. Maybe they were a vibrational difference that we can no longer see these things. And then that's why you sometimes have people that do see them, that maybe your vibration changes. Like I was showing this thing with the different wavelengths. So when you're coming out of a deep sleep and you're in that delta state, still as your eyes are opening, that's typically when a lot of people will see things. I know I
Right.
see things sometimes when I'm just waking up. So will my mom. My mom has seen like grass and vines growing all over the walls and ceiling just when she's waking up because your brain waves are still in that lower frequency. So
Right.
is it possible that people are seeing can see some of these things when they are vibrating at the correct frequency. And that explains why we can't see them just walking around in our day-to-day life. You know, same thing
Right.
with children and seeing ghosts and things like that. I just watched a really interesting documentary. It was a series of 4. Look at this little nub is Florida.
Actually, wanted to say, Stacy, thank you there. She said, as a retired topographic mapper, I can tell you such a detailed map would not be made for fun. Well,
Yeah.
Unless you're artistic, but
Artistic or autistic?
Autistic.
So
Or
this
both,
is
really.
this is something that I think is interesting too.
Yes. Thank you, Stacy. Also, the Piri Rice map. That was the one that I talked to you about last time. Isn't that also with Antarctic that was completely tropical?
Mm. Yeah, I don't know. But
go ahead.
there were explorers that talked about this river that ran between basically mainland what is now the United States and California. Obviously, this is now fused together, or maybe it's elevated to the point where I don't know if this would be the Colorado River. See, it's showing San Francisco here, but obviously San Francisco didn't exist at this time. They take, you know, what's named after these regions of places then become city names, become country names, state names, whatever.
Well,
But
then with this map, it would, the whole colonization of the US. I mean, there were already civilizations just living there, besides, what they call the Native Americans. Because, they said that they were just in certain areas, whereas here it seems like they're like everywhere in the US.
right. Well, the other interesting thing is that Tartaria would have been basically like the top of the map. It would have been centralized around this because it was Russia, it was China, it was all the way into northern America. So it was kind of this ginormous country that took over what would be the top of the globe or the center of this map.
Right.
I'm going to zoom into that. What the hell is that? Oh, but I was going to tell you, I was watching this documentary over the weekend. What is this thing with boobs?
Amaolako Pelig. I don't know where is it situated.
Let's see. That would be.
Is it Russia?
That's like Russia area, I think. Yeah, that's Russia.
Oh, interesting.
Anyway, sorry, I could look at that all day. But this documentary that we're on a whole ass tangent, by the way, but it's great. It's a terrible name for it because I think it was called The Ghost That Lives in My Child or something like that. But it was about these children. Do you know what it is? Have you seen it?
Yeah, I heard about it. Yeah, go ahead.
It's about these children who remember their past lives.
Yeah.
And, obviously past life regression, you take somebody into hypnosis so that they're able to access those things. Well, children are born in a natural state of hypnosis. They don't come out of hypnosis until they're about 6 to 8 years old. So you will hear a lot of these stories about children having these very vivid dreams or these memories. You know, what's interesting is, so my kid had these memories and he talked about these things. My son was also born with this very clear, once he started talking, he had this like Flatbush accent, which Flatbush accent is like Bugs Bunny. That's like a heavy kind of Brooklyn, Queens accent, of yore. And he had it. I wish I could play this video. Where the heck is my phone? Oh, it's all the way over there. But I almost want to play it. Anyway,
do it.
Okay, I'm going to grab it really fast. I'll be right back. You talk amongst yourselves.
Well, yeah, actually, speaking of these children remembering their lives, or rather parents talking about it, because it seems to be have been a big taboo. And lately I see it on Instagram, people that constantly talking about this stuff, where their children remember their lives, or they say, you know, I was your mother before, or you were my sister in a previous life, whatnot. And all these children remember this, and these parents are now starting to speak up about it. And it's not just a few anymore, it's a lot of people. So yeah.
Right. So a lot of these, what these children had in common, also, a lot of them were, although a lot of them had night terrors and things like that haunted them, they were really happy kids, and they adapted quickly. They learned how to speak and walk and potty train earlier than most kids. That was my kid. He was just like this Zen baby. He came out of the womb and he was just like, all right, let's party. You know, he didn't cry a lot. He was totally mellow. But he was interested in you know, he spoke, and he had this incredible vocabulary right away. I don't know if you're going to be able to hear this, but
my sister had the same thing. It was incredible. She just never cried. She always smiled and always sit there in peace. And I was like, it's amazing. And even with going out with, because my sister is 20 years younger. So even if I had friends that had children, and I brought my sister as a baby, and their children were like freaking throwing tantrums and everything, and my sister would just sit there, and I was like, that's weird. Yes.
yeah. So a lot of these, there was, that not only in this documentary, not only are they documenting children who remember their past lives, but they were past lives of people that they could actually verify. So one of them was the screenwriter of Gone with the Wind. One of them was one of the guys that drew out the Titanic. You know what I'm saying? Like, he designed the Titanic,
Right.
and he was also on it when it
I can remember his name.
But, you know, one of the things he would always say, it was my fault. He would, when he was very little, and he's spoken in British accent, and he would say, instead of saying left or right, he would say port or starbound or star.
Oh, wow.
And then he would say, they died in the boiler room first. They shouldn't have died. They died in the boiler room first. Well, there was something about the way that the Titanic crashed that trapped the guys in the boiler room. And then he would also talk about these things, like when he was very little, things that he wouldn't understand. Like, oh, it was made out of steel. It should have been made out of iron. The steel was very brittle in that cold water. That's part of the problem. They were trying to cut costs. Anyway, so they have all these verifiable lives. It's really cool if you guys are interested in this. But one of the things that was kind of that these kids shared in common were that they had these accents. One of the girls was talking to her dad one time when she was like 4 or 5, and she said, "Dad, do you remember when we were Japanese?" And then he was an artist, and he was on the floor painting on some newspaper one day. And she came and she took the paintbrush out of his hand, and she drew 2 perfect Japanese characters, one for home and one for love. And they were perfect, you know? And so I was just thinking about my son, because when he was about, I used to just ask him, "Hey, do you remember where you were before here?" He'd be like, "Yeah." I mean, they speak about it very matter-of-factly. "Yeah."
Right. Yeah.
"Oh, what was your name?" "My name was Bob." I said, "Oh yeah, where did you live?" He's like, "I lived in Brooklyn. I was a banker."
Right.
And so he had these details. And then I was thinking about it honestly after I watched it, because I forgot about my son's accent when he was little. And there was no reason for him to have this accent. Nobody in his life speaks like this.
Right.
So then I was like, oh my God, he told me he lived in Brooklyn. So hold on, let me play this. Hopefully you can hear it.
It's the sock.
Can you hear it?
This is the
River, say shark.
sock.
Say bird.
Wood.
Say scored.
Scored.
Say water.
Waddle. Walking. That's the sock.
Isn't that weird? Wood.
It's very interesting. And I know on YouTube is full of, documentaries and people, actually testimonies of children talking. And then they actually go to graves of these people and visit even family. There was this actually woman, and she remembered she had constantly these vivid dreams. And I think she was in the US, and she traveled all the way to Ireland to check. And she went to the village that she constantly dreamt of, only to then find that she was the reincarnation of a woman who died and left her children behind. But her children were now in their 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
And so she went there to Ireland to visit them and telling the story. And she said, I feel so drawn to this place. I've never been here. I know everything here. And then she actually went to visit her children from her previous life. I mean, that was insane. It was actually on YouTube. I did a whole binge last time again on that stuff because I really love this topic.
Yeah, that it's so interesting. So one of my favorite documentaries on it is called The Boy Who Lived Before.
Yes.
And he was, you know, in Scotland, remembered this thing. We've talked about that before. But so for a lot of kids, it can just be kind of factually, you know, my name was this, or, you know, they'll have imaginary friends and these will be people that they knew before. But for some kids, it can be traumatic. They will have night terrors. They will remember these, you know, especially if their death was traumatic or if they felt they had unfinished business. And so one of the ways to actually help these kids is to explore it. They find that when these kids actually do confront, okay, this was a past life of yours, then it allows them to compartmentalize it and separate from it. And then they're allowed to, then they can go forward and live a normal life and they're no longer plagued by this. But when they're kind of, you know, that veil is still really thin and they can still remember their old mom and dad, and then they feel homesick because the veil isn't completely shut on them, then they can be really haunted by some of these memories. So hypnotherapy or dream regression, some of the, you know, even just talking to them about it and finding, you know, maybe making connections. Some of these kids would go and meet, like you said, people that they knew, their children, their brothers and sisters or whatever that might still be alive. And then they would be able to
have closure as well. But you know, what I do see is now a lot of parents not throwing it under the carpet anymore and just, you know, giving them this free space to, instead of, you know, when we were young, it was like, just, you know, imaginary friend, right? It's always the imaginary, it's the fantasy and all that stuff. But now people and parents are now recognizing it better, I think, with children, and which is great because it brings them up already with the idea that there is more than just our 3D lives.
Right. I mean, it's so fascinating, and kids are prime, you know, they are just so open that it comes through them a lot more easily. You don't necessarily have to use hypnosis, but that was what Dr. Ian Stevenson was doing, was that he was working with children on this and then finding these people that and factually checking what these kids remembered about their lives. Like, for example, one of the kids in that documentary was able to remember being, I think, a Russian fighter pilot in World War II. And, you know, the dad was like, no, this is crazy. He didn't believe it. But but he was like researching it because he wanted to prove it wrong, because the wife and the mother-in-law were like, we think that he's remembering a past life. And he's like, not in my house. So he was researching it to find errors in it. And not only was so one of the things was that the kid kept saying this one type of plane. I don't remember what kind of plane it was. And he was like, aha, see, no plane. He remembered the name of the, what is the thing that in the middle of the ocean that the airplanes take off of? The
middle of you mean these ships?
Yeah, the ships.
The warships.
There's a name for him, but I forgot. Yeah. Anyway, he was like, well, he looked it up and he was like, that specific kind of plane never flew off of that. You know, that's not what they used in the war, whatever. But once they actually narrowed down who this guy was, and then they found out that his sister was still alive, they contacted the sister, and then the sister sent 8 pictures of the family of her brother, you know, throughout life. And in one of the pictures, he's standing next to one of those planes. That was his plane. He flew a different plane when he died, when he was at war. But this was the plane that he typically flew. And they were just like, this is insane. But this little child, knowing these details, some of the kids could speak German. Some of the kids, I don't know. I find it just incredibly fascinating. Aircraft carrier. Thank you, Kara. Geez.
Thank you, Kara. Yeah, actually,
like, what's the 3 syllables?
When I went on my binge with that stuff, I encountered that one again as well, and so it's very fresh in my memory and gave me goosebumps when you talked about it. But yeah, it's amazing how because I hear an echo. Is it me? No,
I don't hear it.
Anyway, so that brought me to a topic which maybe we should talk about another time, is the telepathy tapes.
Oh, yeah. Well,
with the children, or not even alone children, but, these what they call autistic, and they can read minds and everything. It's so amazing. And we have now these schools where children, we have them in Holland as well, where you can send your children and they learn telepathy, they learn to read without their eyes and all that stuff. So those schools are now starting to pop out everywhere. Yeah. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think those kinds of schools have always existed, those kind of mystery schools and whatever, where people, the thing is that, so we have esoteric knowledge and we have all of this weird stuff that it appears that at some point, the human race seemed to kind of understand these things, and they got it. At some point we lost it. Right. And now it's like, okay, it's woo woo. This is not accepted. Everything is woo woo until science accepts it. Well, there might be a reason why science is not accepting these things. But throughout history, people have known these things. And what was, what is now esoteric, or like even the word occult. The word occult just means hidden, right? And so people hear the word occult and they think Satanism. They think Satan and darkness and all this stuff. And I happen to think that is part of the psyop, is that for you to believe that these things are inherently evil. And part of the problem is that when people don't understand them and they start to dabble in them, and they start to dabble in them for the wrong reasons, to trick someone into loving them, or to get a job, or to get money, or whatever. Obviously, these are very 3D wants and desires, and these are not things of God, but like any tool can be used for good or evil.
Right.
And so what a perfect thing to convince the world that these things are inherently evil, so that we never understand them. It's not about learning these things so that you can put them into practice. It's about understanding them so that we know, number one, when they're being used against us and how to protect ourselves from them, but also just understanding what it is that we are inherently given as human beings, in the what was it called? God, I hate my brain sometimes. Well, like when they used to hunt witches and stuff like that, a lot of those women were just they were medicine healers. They knew how to use herbs to heal people. And then it was like, burn the witch, because people didn't understand it. They thought it was witchcraft. Well, everything is witchcraft until you understand it. And of course, these powerful things, powerful symbols, whatever, are going to be used by evil people for evil means. But potentially they don't want us knowing that they even exist, because they don't want us to protect ourselves and understand them.
Well, yeah, if anything, the witches today are the real doctors, as what they called witches at the time, but not the good kind, right? Because they poison us. They literally poisoning us.
Well, think about the symbol of the medical field, which is the 2 snakes, and the the history of that is interesting as well. I mean,
yes, I looked it up too, and I did a deep dive in that one too, and that was like quite a while ago. But yeah, it's amazing how everything is distorted. But I guess we're now at this point where people will start to discover, right? Because well, you have no proof of it, can't see. Well, can you see the air that you breathe? No, you can't. So does that mean that it doesn't exist? Right. So, but people are very easy to dismiss it. But I do see now this development wherein people are becoming more normal about it. Just like we talked about, intuition. People talk more in terms of I feel instead of I think. I think it's this and that. Well, I feel this and that is going on, right? And that's their intuition being how do you say that? That's being
Activated.
yeah, that's being activated. And but it becomes so more open now these days, and I like that because it means people are feeling more with the energy fields, if we should call it that, instead of with their brain and rationalize everything, or analyze everything in a way, because we can analyze ourselves into a pretzel, but at the
Yeah.
end of the day, it's always your gut instinct that wins.
Yeah.
you know
Absolutely. Well, I mean, it should. We've had that trained out of us because we've been taught to only focus on our intellectual knowledge, trust the science, only trust what the brain, the heart and the gut, those are fallible. And so we have to kind of train ourselves how to use all three brains again. And you're right. I think it's kind of like what I was saying with the tuning forks that are set to different, frequencies coming into contact with each other. If you're vibrating at a higher rate and you come into contact with something that is negative, at a
Right.
completely different, lower decibel, you're gonna feel it. And it's the less you're putting poison in your body, for example. Like if you're living off of McDonald's, you're probably not going to be all that in tune.
Right.
But if you're eating really clean food, and by the way, you were talking about, I think you were talking about, I know we've talked about this before, meat and things like that. I think the humans are meant to eat meat, but I think the treatment of the animal is very important prior to it being killed. I have no
Right.
problem with an animal being slaughtered for food because, I mean, animals don't have aspirations. They're not trying to watch their kids
Right.
go to college. But for an animal life, it's about comfort. It's about, harmony and being able to live a good life first. And all that negative stuff that goes into that meat, the way that they're slaughtered, the way that they're kept,
Yeah.
it's all that vibration is being transferred to that meat. And then when you eat that meat, it's going into your body. And then it's like that, it's a negative vibration that's being incorporated to you.
Well, and what do you think about fabrics? I mean, now all our underwear fabrics, for example, are completely synthetic, which is really bad for you because that energy is well, even your normal clothes, you don't even have to. It's not just underwear, but also our normal clothes. So, when it says, that, I think it was in the Bible. But anyway, they say the highest frequency materials are linen and wool, but in the Bible said you should never combine them, and the
Yeah.
reason being because one spins towards one direction and the other one spins another direction. If you put them together, they cancel each other out, and so that's why you never wear them together. And but if you do wear them, and I don't know if you've noticed, when I wear real good materials, I notice the difference and I feel so much more comfortable. I cannot stand synthetic fabrics. And it's not a matter of spoiled or whatever, because it's not like I can afford imagine that, can't afford all the complete natural fabrics. No, we have to get everything like synthetic, polyester, stuff like that. It's horrific,
Yeah. Well, it's not just natural because silk is actually a very low vibrational. But if you think about how silk is made, it kind of
Oh,
makes sense.
oh yeah. That's the one that I discovered like in the past years, because I was an absolute fan of silk. And then I saw how silk is prepared and I was just shocked.
Right. But
And it explains it. Yeah.
that's also why linen was used to dress wounds and things like that, because it has a healing property to it because of its vibration rate. So linen, that's
Oh,
also why you
diapers.
see that's why you see hippies wearing linen. They wear linen pants because they know the
Yeah.
secret.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
True. But also diapers, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I come from a time where I still have the cotton diapers. It's yeah, with
Mhm.
the pin. and then they would be hanging on the lines like all over, because me and my brother, we were like almost the same age. And so yeah, my mom had a ton of diapers hanging that were washed. It was
Cute. Cute. Well, yeah, I mean, now diapers have all kinds of chemicals. They're made out of plastics and
yeah, it's
crap. But
insane.
even cotton, it has to be organic cotton.
Yes.
It's frustrating because you're right. It's in everything. Actually, rayon, I think, is a super high frequency fabric, which is
I
weird.
love Ryan.
Oh,
And
really?
I always, yeah, because I make clothes, and I did a lot of sewing, and so I always feel the fabrics, and I know instantly whether I like it or not. But I know instantly whether it's synthetic too. And so yeah, I would actually, when I was in Mexico, I made clothes. It
I
was so
remember.
hard not to find anything non-synthetic there. But yeah, I did love that.
T. Webb says high priests and rabbis wear linen robes and hats. Yeah, monks too. A lot of religious, spiritual, whatever. They wear linen. They're not out there wearing polyester.
Right.
Because there's
Or
something.
wool.
Right. Yeah, it's so fascinating. There was something else that you brought up. What was I gonna say? I forget. We went on all kinds of tangents on this,
Yes,
but
we did.
this stuff comes brimming out of me because I think this is so fascinating.
It is.
That was also so the preparation of food. We were talking about that before, and we were talking about putting love into things, and also the system of the water that I drank when I was pregnant. It was like it went through all these different systems and got reactivated, and full of minerals and diamonds and crystals and whatever. That the CBD by CBD and MOR, these are the things that he does with it. He figured out a way to make this CBD, like he infuses it at a certain time of day when the sun is in a certain spot, and plays this. Oh, I didn't play the videos. He plays this harmonic music or whatever. So it literally is infused with light and sound. And I think that's why when I started taking it, it was like life-changing for me. And I just thought it was CBD. I'd heard wonderful things about CBD. And anytime I started taking another CBD, it was never the same.
No.
It was this stuff.
It's the preparation that really matters about everything. I mean, I have a body spray that I use, and it's just to clear or to feel more relaxed. It all has different themes. They're made in Bali, and they're made by priestesses. And it takes a full moon and a whole lot of rituals in order to cleanse it. And then they do with frequency sound, they do with chanting and everything. And then they put it in a bottle and they sell it. And then you can say, okay, that's like snake oil. But I'm very sensitive to my intuition. And so the first time I used it, this was in 2016, and I sprayed it and I was instantly in love with it. And ever since, I order it when it's not cheap, but because it takes them days in order to prepare it. With many women, they do it, but it's a sacred form of making stuff. And I think everything where there goes love into it and attention, and that is so important, but it makes everything so much more high quality.
Right. And we're so, I think our senses have become so dulled to everything, right? But a lot of this artificial scent everywhere. And
Right.
once you get away from those artificial scents, they smell like poison to you. You will smell them and you'll be like, it's such a turnoff. Anytime somebody so I have a perfume that I actually love, that I love it. And it's an expensive perfume, and I wear it very seldom, but when I do, like, whatever, but it's a higher quality than probably my biggest nightmare is walking into Sephora. Do you guys have Sephora?
Oh yeah. Well, we have several of those type of chains, but I absolutely know what you mean, because I worked in those shops. And it was, I haven't used any perfume anymore since 2014, anything chemical, because I too now, what I used to love, if I smell it now, I literally get headaches and get nauseous. So but that's because in 2014, I became completely clean with living everything that I put on my skin. My motto is kind of, if I can't eat it, I won't put it on my skin. Now, that doesn't mean that this cream, for example, my friend made it. It's from herbs and stuff. It smells divine. Now, obviously, you cannot eat it. You can eat it. You won't die. You won't get sick, but it tastes shitty. Like, but but it's not something that is poisonous. And then the other thing that I got for my birthday is the Blue Lotus oil.
Mm.
That is just divine. And yeah, I use it in everything. I just buy the organic creams and oils and stuff, and that are neutral, and then I put just my my lotus oil everywhere, and I'm like, everything smells fine. So
Oh,
yeah, I can't do any more of those shops, and even cosmetics, right? I can't do it anymore with when they are scented. um I don't do shampoos or nothing, literally nothing that is chemical, because I just, yeah, I just can't.
yeah, this is the time of year too when I go into my friends' houses and they're all like, they've got the candles going and the plugins with
Oh,
the scents and all that. And it's just like, ugh.
and you
And
know how toxic this is for your animals as well. They can die from this, and your babies. If you have young children, it's incredibly toxic.
yeah, well, I mean, it's messing with your kids' endocrine systems and messing up their hormones. And yeah, these things are not good. And we're so desensitized that it's like more and more and more scent. Um,
Yeah,
And once you detox, it's like anything else. Once you detox from it, once you start eating cleaner and you get rid of synthetic fragrances and all of these things, once you come into contact with it, it is very obvious to you. Your body will reject it. Like if you haven't had McDonald's in a while and you take a bite of it, you will be like, it's a completely different thing. You're like,
yeah,
this is disgusting. You will feel instantly worse, and you'll be able to gauge, you'll be able to really gauge how different you feel because your body is not used to it. And of course, it takes a while for you to get away from things for long enough and effectively enough so that you can have that contrast, because it's in
right.
everything. There's, crappy food is everywhere. I mean, even our fruits and vegetables are depleted. They're covered in poison, whatever. But I
Right.
don't mean to sound, I don't want to black pill people, because you can definitely do it. It's doable.
Wait,
It's
you can counteract it as well. I mean, and that's the
right.
beauty of it. But Cassandra is saying, I wish you two had a website to list all these amazing sounding products. Well, Kate has the Clean Living Project, although she's a bit hesitant to start with it. So maybe I might pick it up. Maybe we can do it together, whatever. I do find this important as well to mention all these things, because it's not about selling stuff, because I don't sell shit, right? I just want people to wake up to what is good and what isn't. Um, that's kind of what
Exactly.
this is about.
Exactly. I mean, when I started the Clean Living Project, it was because I first wanted to I was just going to be like, um, reviewing products pretty much, finding these things that I loved that were, for example, deodorant. People know that deodorant is
Oh,
toxic and terrible, but all of the alternatives, or most of the alternatives out there, are crap. They give you rashes, they make you sweat more, they don't do anything if you have BO, like they're just not good. So I was like, well, what if I find things that are good and they're clean and help connect people with that stuff? I mean, it's something that I've been passionate about ever since I woke up. Ever since actually I was trying to get pregnant with my son, 15 years ago. For 4 years, I tried to get pregnant because I didn't know why I was infertile. And then I started reading and figuring out it was because my body was toxic, that it was
right.
attacking my ability to get pregnant. And once I detoxified I had to do IVF, but I started to learn, I mean, even in IVF, if the quality of your egg is not good, it still won't do much for you. So you need to build the quality of your egg. And the reason that your eggs get worse as you get older is because your body is toxic.
Right. The Taylor Project asked what non-scented products do I use? Well, I live in Europe, so obviously we have different stores than America has. But I guess any organic store should have odorless creams, oils, and stuff like that, like carrying oils, for example. So yeah, and then you take a nice essential oil in order to have it for a nice scent, but also that helps, for your mood, for example, depending which oil you use. So yeah, definitely, I should definitely do some episodes on that stuff because
Yeah.
it's fun and it's great to learn about. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, can I just ask for whoever hasn't been in my Rumble, for whoever is in Kate's Rumble, if you want to go to mine quickly and just pick up a membership because they're sitting there to sit and nobody picks them up. So, and then you can come back to Kate's stream.
Yes, please do that.
I mean, I put it in the chat so that you can go there. Just pick your membership, and then you can go again if you want to. Obviously. Anyway, so
Mike in the chat says he's going to start playing his own music again. He needs better frequencies and harmonics directly to me. So I had this friend. Her name was Audrey, and she's Aubrey, and she was one of the most beautiful people I've ever seen in my life. Like, her skin was just glowing and her hair was perfect and she was just beautiful. She literally glowed. This human being just glowed. And she played the harp. So she spent hours a day playing the harp. And I thought about her when I was like researching frequencies and music and everything and how harp music, and that's why we depict angels playing harp music, because it's this very high vibrational, beautiful sound. And I was like, I wonder if that's.
I actually lately am listening a lot to healing sounds, but also, for example, that makes you younger, like doing facelifts and stuff like that with sound, obviously. But it's amazing. My whole face was tingling, and I just use it when I read a book or I'm doing something else. I just have it on in the background. And at a certain point, I was like, why is my face just hurting? And it turns out that it was because I was having the sound up, but I didn't even hear it anymore in the background because it became kind of white noise. And then I remembered, oh my God, I have that sound on, and my face was just freaking hurting. But it works absolutely. It's amazing. And let me see, because I actually sent it the other day to my friend who says, I need to get rid of entities. Can you send me some sounds? And so I send him some of those. But let me see. It's called. It's actually on YouTube, and it's called the Sound Healers. So if you look up the Sound Healers, they have all sorts of sound. It's amazing. I see you there, Neo, in the chat. Thank you for the shades, and I love you. But yeah, just wanted to mention that.
If somebody is trying to get rid of entities, I fully believe that some of these negative things can be drawn to us because of our own vibration.
Oh, yeah.
So to raise your own vibration is probably one of the best things that you can do. The weather just got really weird here.
But you can have help, sometimes you're in a spiral, and then you just bring out the sage, bring out the audio, bring out the whole shebang.
Well, so we're going to end with these two videos, which is kind of perfect, of people singing in these old cathedrals. And again, these cathedrals were made for sound, and it's all the bells were removed, the pipe organs that used to exist in there. I think that those were healing frequencies. They knew that in these places that people would go into. When you're around harmony that is healing, you can feel it, especially the more in tune you get. I mean, you're drawn to it. Go and you play this music by the ocean, you will have dolphins and beluga whales and stuff. They are drawn to it because there is something about these frequencies. So the way that these buildings are built is to resonate the sound. And that's why music sounds the way that it does in these old places. So I'm going to play two videos Don't worry, we can say our goodbyes before we do it, but I'm just going to preface it. The first one is just this girl. I think she's in Spain, and she was walking around some old town with her parents, and she was a singer, and they went into this old cathedral, and she just started singing this song, and I think it's her mother that's taking the video. I've played the full song before on my show in the past because they turned it into a full song just because this clip was so beautiful, it went viral. And then the second clip is another song. This song was made, I believe, in the 1600s, and it was written specifically for the Sistine Chapel. And for many, many years, it was not allowed to be sang outside of the Sistine Chapel because this song was made for that. So we'll listen to that as well. Anything else before we scoot?
Well, we definitely need to pick up this topic more because there's so much to talk about this, right? But next week we're going to have a guest again, so looking forward to that. And other than that, I want to thank everybody in the chats and thank you for being here. And yeah, we're happy that you enjoy this. If you have any suggestions for us, as in topics that you like, just throw them into the comments. So we'll see them even after the stream, at least.
Oh, shoot. Okay. Love you guys. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.